Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Volley Rally. Today, I am joined by Tully Williams, the Parts and Service Director for the Niello Auto Group. Tully, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks so much for the invite. Super excited. I love Volley. I can't wait to dig in.
Well, we appreciate you, and for those of you tuning in, we did not pay him to say that. We did not ask him to say that.
I
Tully is a truly great partner to work with. So we have a very interesting topic here for you all. We hear all the time from prospects and folks who are looking at Volley that you either don't have a centralized BDC yet, or maybe you're thinking of starting one, or maybe you don't have anything for service BDC. And Tully, with Niello, they're a great example of someone who truly did not. I mean, they're right where you are. They did not have anything in place for a centralized service BDC. So we're going to dive into that mindset of growing that, of building that. Before we do, Tully, can you tell everyone a little bit about the group? You know, how many stores do you guys
Fantastic.
have, and what does it look like?
Fantastic. So the Niello Company out in Sacramento, California, been in business 103 years. Can you believe it? Unbelievable. Started, and we have 10 rooftops in a body shop, mostly luxury brands. We have the oldest Porsche dealer and Audi dealer in the United States with the same dealer. We have two Porsches, two Porsches, one Audi, two BMWs, two Jag, Land Rovers, Volvo, Acura, Volkswagen. And we have great brands to start with. And that's the reason why we've always talked about, why do we need a BDC? How can we help our customers better? And that's how it all started together. We have a really good group of guys and gals that run our store together. As we let the stores run themselves with the guidance of the corporation, it really helps us make sure we do the right decisions.
Mm-hmm. And Niello is a very, very well-known, and like you said, it's an established old legacy brand out there. Before you started the BDC, what were the stores doing with service?
So everybody had a cashier, a call taker, or two. We got rid of our cashiers and went to riders cashiering. So we turned them all kind of into service coordinators. And what happens is that busy stores like that, you might have one, two, or three based off your volume, answer the phones. And as you know, it's very difficult when you have volume of people calling in to check status, which drives me crazy, and you have people calling in to make appointments. Then what happens is that there's a lot of voicemails, there's a lot of hold-ons and all these kind of things. And we saw that some stores were struggling horribly and some stores were just barely floating. Nobody was doing a good job. Now, we were full of appointments because people kept on calling back. God bless every one of those people for doing that. But we were not handling our traffic well. And that's where we decided to do the BDC. And we did it in baby steps. But that's the reason why we did it, because the stores were not doing a great job. They were doing an okay job.
So that's the why of it. How long had you thought about this before you took the leap? Because you started about a year ago, towards the start of 2024. What did that timeline look like?
Well, I started the Niello Company. I've been here 6 years. I mentioned a BDC, when I first started, when I got here. But BDCs were not really common back then for small groups, or, it was, this group has been around for so long, they're kind of stuck in their ways. And, it wasn't something of higher priority because we weren't doing a bad job. But as we grew and our stores were getting bigger and we're selling more hours, we noticed that some stores were struggling. So my goal was to pick on one store to try it out and then move forward as we build in other stores. And of course, it was a huge success and it went faster than we ever imagined.
So you guys started using Volley in May of last year. There was a little bit of time period before you made that switch and implemented Volley. What did the BDC look like initially?
Well, that's funny. So let's just start. The first thing is that when you think about a BDC, you need to find the right manager. Carl Vickenchew is our greatest manager ever. Nice person, but where did I find him? I found him as a great service advisor in one of our stores that maybe wanted to take it to the next level to become a manager or something. And we took him in because our goal was not to have a good phone answer, but we need someone that understands fixed ops service. And that's the reason I think part of our success is that he has background in writing circles a lot of years. Two, he's also a very nice person. So the next thing is that we brought him in and we allowed him to pick one or two people. We picked on one store. And what did we do? Excel spreadsheets with marker pens, right? And we get a list of people, and we get a list from, we picked on our BMW store first, so we get the recall list, we get the telematics calls, we call people to remind them to come in. And of course, we had calls that were routed through our phone system back to the BDC agents. And it worked okay. We used X-Time as our other product, and they have somewhat of a BDC product. It basically just brings it up and tells you what's in there. And it worked. But the problem was that it was not scalable and it was very labor intensive. And this was not a long-term solution. So for success, the success that we were having with both of our BMW stores before we brought on Volie was working. We saw the benefit for it for our stores, which was a good thing. So the next piece is I saw Scott on the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm like, dude, this is the guy. And what I did is after I did it, I call up Ted Ings and say, hey, Ted, I need to get a hold of Scott. I got his phone number, we call up Scott. And I would say that I would call him a personal friend. And we have, had a great relationship. So he showed me how the product worked, showed me the scalability, which is what I was really worried about, and the flexibility we had at the store. And then all of a sudden, when we put that in, all of a sudden, it was like, oh my God, we don't have check sheets anymore. We don't have marker pens. We don't have spreadsheets. We don't have 50 million screens on trying to make it all happen. Volie handled that. And also Volie handled our volume when it comes in. It can manage our invite when it comes in. So if someone goes to a voicemail or gets put on hold, Volie makes sure that we call those people back. Because what happens usually is voicemails get answered at the end of the day or the next following day, right? Because you're busy answering phone calls and you don't have time to look at that. And Volie there in turn now is making sure we get those people back within 20 to 30 minutes max. The other thing is that our outbound campaign, we had outbound campaigns set up through X-Time and through, manufacturers of lists. And we had all these lists. So you go to this person's desk and what he had paper everywhere. And they're checking marking boxes off. It does not work. And we don't really have trackability. We know how many appointments they're making, but we really don't know how many phone calls they're handling and how they're doing with that. And when we went to Volie, oh my God, it was like, oh, look at this. We have trackability, which we believe in. We want to be transparent with all of our teams, which they want to see how well they're doing. And I like trackability to say thank you. It's not, you need to work harder. And what we found is that, wow, the team is doing an incredible job. And as we brought on the third store, we hired another person that was usually from that store or a person that wanted to join the team. We didn't really want an outsider too many. We do have some. And we started building the team slowly because we wanted to make sure it worked and not grew too fast. And that to me was the biggest success was us starting slow, having the greatest software, which is Volie. I can't say enough good things about it. And two is having a great leader, Carl, at our BDC center.
So you started small, and did you pick, I hate to ask this question, but it comes up more than you would think. And I guess it's a fair question. Did you start with a high performing, good store, good teams, or did you think, okay, we're going to pick one of our lower stores, build out the process, improve that store, and then bring the others on board?
Great question. We picked the store that had the most phone calls. That was a complete cluster. And BMW is our largest store at the time. And, and they have 1 million phone calls and they were struggling answering them and a lot of voicemails and they needed it super fast. So that was the first store we did was our BMW store. And then as we got that dialed in and realized, oh my God, this is working. What a concept on paper. We brought in our second BMW store together as a combo. And that really helped when we're doing both. So when they call in, it'd be the same store, the same brand. It was easy for us to manage, but it took us I think it was about the second month, we brought in the second BMW store, which really helped. And then we started to bring another person in. So now we have 3 or 4 people in the back, making sure that we're answering those great phone calls and making those great outbound calls.
And now you have all of the stores totally onboarded. They're all living in Volie every day, all of your agents. How does the BDC team look today?
It's on fire. I just want to tell you, I am so impressed on what we've got in. You know, the first thing is outbound calls to us was a big deal when we started the BDC. It wasn't about inbounds as much as, yes, we wanted to help the store handle that inbound traffic, but we really wanted to make those outbound calls. I think those are the biggest success that we've had. And when you look at our outbound metrics, which I couldn't really measure, is that we call for our red or our good clients. We call on missed appointments. We're calling on telematics. We're calling on recalls, and we're calling on people that need to show up for their next service event, which is, to me, the biggest thing. I don't think people really look at emails much anymore. And mail, I think that if a human being, not an AI product, a human being calls you up and says your next service is blank, we'll get a better result. And what happened? Oh my God. We make all these phone calls. We're at 14 or 15,000 phone calls today, right? And what do? We do a great job getting the person on the phone, right? The phone call doesn't come across as spam. It talks about what store we're from, right? And we answer, and you probably know better than I do, but I think we get about a 40 to 50% answer rate. And then if I get them on the phone, I make appointments 40 to 50% of the time, which, you know, Scott said, Tully, that's crazy. I said, dude, we want to be the best at it. But if you do it right, nice people on a valid reason why they should come back, why do they say no? And what we found out is that is exactly what happened. And that's not just at one of our stores. That's all of our stores. That's the average for the group. So some are a little bit higher, some are a tad lower, but the goal is that we're doing a great job getting people to answer the phone. Then we send a text and email, which we could not do without Volie before, to thank them and tell them what we did if we even leave a voicemail. And then a lot of times the people will respond back through email or text, and we can handle that appointment through Volie, which is awesome. And of course, it interfaces with our X-Time product. Next thing was our inbounds. You know, our inbounds, press 1 for appointment. You know what the biggest problem we have is? I want to talk to a human. I don't want to talk to a robot. And people sometimes were scared to hit the 1 button. So that, as we had a great meeting last night, we talked to our service managers about what do we say about it? And it was like, you want to talk to press 1 to talk to a live appointment agent, or we're trying to figure out the right wording because we got to tell them it's a live person. And then sometimes when they answer, the first thing that comes out of their mouth, is this a real person? It's so funny. Right? And we've had great success with our inbounds. And our inbounds, you know, we're answering those rates at probably almost 100%, right? We have enough team members back there to make sure we do it. And then 2 is that we're making appointments 90% of the time on the phone call. Where we think about it, we get a lot of calls that are not appointments, as you all know. I just want to talk to somebody. I'll hit every button until I hit somebody. And of course, the BDC is there to help, and we help manage those times like that. We're doing a very good job at it. So our ins and outbounds, I believe, are incredible.
You and I had another conversation a couple of months ago on the Fix Ops Roundtable, and one of the things that you said that really stuck with me is you kind of disagree. You know, there's a lot of marketing and verbiage out there about how email and SMS and all of these non-human touches are the way to drive service business. And you said on the Fix Ops Roundtable, I think it's all wrong. I think people want to talk with a real person, and I'm going all in on outbound. Is that still your mindset?
100%. I don't think, if you sit there and think about it, you know, do you want to talk to a robot, right? Now let's think about the best robot on the planet is Amazon, right? I can talk to Alexa and ask her a million questions, she's going to answer. But when you call their support line, you're talking to a robot. And then what happens, the robot gets confused and forwards you to a human being that fixes the problem. I just want to bypass that, and I want a human answering my phone. Now, after hours, if there's a product that can help us with some questions, great. But overall, I'm not an AI fan for phones. I think they're a backup at best. I think humans do an incredible job for us. I also believe one thing also I do is that all my no-shows, I take them out of the appointments. So my show rate will always be 100%. Why do I do that? I'm trying to open up spots. So when we start calling people up, I can't make it today because, can I reschedule? Yes or no? We reschedule it and we fix it. I can't come in because I'm not coming. Okay, great. I delete the appointment. We want to make sure that our appointment schedule is clean and honest. So part of our job is that we delete a lot of our no shows. We want to keep our inventory, appointment inventory clean.
So once you got past the initial implementation of Volley, you got all the stores onboarded, it sounds to me like there were a lot of things that you planned for in terms of improving your processes. Were there any advantages to centralizing that you didn't anticipate?
I was dreaming of it working perfectly, right? And I talked to a couple of stores that have successful. I got some references from you guys, and what they did, and they're telling me all their problems, of course, right? And then their successes, and their big successes is that it sounded like me is that they did not have the metrics or the success rate of what do they expect per person. And to me is that I talked with Carl. I said, Carl, we want to measure per person and have their pay plans tied to that because we expect certain responsibilities, certain things we want from each one of our call takers. And what we decided is that we'll pay them on an inbound call and we'll pay them on an appointment made if they hit their forecast. Forecast like I have in hours and forecast as we have in appointments. So what we look at is each person has to do 40 appointments a day. I want to make 40 appointments a day every day they work. And that is 100% of their forecast. 40 sounds a big number. I was worried because we're experimenting here. And we found that 40% works just fine. I don't have anybody at 150%, but my goal is that I just want you to be 100. I want you to be 105, right? And what we found is that they're doing it month in and month out. We've really not had a problem when we went to this plan 100%, is that they are making great appointments. Right now, we do look at make sure they don't have, a bunch of bogus appointments in there, of course. We look for that kind of thing. And we check those out because we're calling all those people. And we too is that on our inbound calls, they get paid a little bit there, but our goal is to make an appointment. So now when they say, hey, can you take all these calls for us? The store says, what does our call taker say? Absolutely. Because they're interested in doing what? Making people happy and making an appointment. And having an appointment forecast to me was a big, big deal.
Mm-hmm. One of the perceived downsides of centralizing for a group like yours that you hear is, I want to be able to have consistent customer experiences for my Toyota store, and what they need is different than my Honda, et cetera, right? How did that work for you guys?
So I'm going to give Carl all the credit. And what he does is he assigns a primary and a secondary person per each store. And what they do every month is that Carl and that person goes to the store face to face, not on a Zoom call, not on a Teams call or a phone call. We go to the store and we talk about them. We talk about what they want. And we have a sheet of cheat sheets for all the stores. And everybody goes there. So our goal is to make sure that person that's managing that store knows the advisors, knows the managers, knows the parts people, knows the store, and they build that relationship. So then you don't have this artificial, oh yeah, George is a really nice guy. Who the hell is George? Right? They know the service environment. They know the team there. They know the store, not just once, but monthly, if not twice a month, based on their needs, right? We want to make sure that they're completely involved. So they're there at our service writer meetings at store levels, right? They're there to talk to them about what they can do better and listen to them. And I think that is our biggest win that Carl has done is those store visits by store and their primary person. And Volie does a great job for this because it helps us manage that.
Mm-hmm. You yourself are not in the BDC every day. You have a great guy with Carl there managing. How do you feel Volie has helped you manage, and as well as the other executives within Niello?
Well, I believe measurements is everything. As you can see behind me, I have two TV sets. I have 64 television sets around the Niello Company. I have a website that we manage that all of our people in fixed and variable can look at. And we do the same thing with our BDC team. They need to know where they are today. How great are they doing? And if we go out there and tell everybody how well they're doing every day, how many phone calls, how many inbounds, how many outbounds, The appointment percentage. How many appointments did they create? How many appointments did they create for the entire group, right? Right? Because some stores still do a little bit here and there. But the goal is that we make 99% or 90% of all the appointments for the group. And we tell them every day how they're doing. As we have done that in our fixed ops department, we sell hours. I tell everybody every day how many hours we sold. And in the BDC department, guess what we do? We tell them how many appointments they did today and where they are on their appointment forecast. And we tell the entire team how well they're doing. So now it's not a super secret club. It's a club that everybody can look at and say thank you. So now when I have my weekly fixed ops teams, most of our stores do what? Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Carl, for handling it. Thank you. You're doing a great job. Right? That's the biggest compliment.
Mm-hmm. One of the we when we do these calls and in these videos, we always get on and we talk for a couple of minutes before we start recording. And you shared something with me from just I think you said it was last Friday. You went out to dinner and you had a story about how the stores and the service managers kind of viewed the BDC. You want to share that again?
Fantastic. So it was actually last night, we had our service manager dinner, which we have on a bi-monthly basis. And, we go through process and stuff. And then, of course, as you know, phones are the worst thing ever to manage at a store. And, everybody has the struggles. We just demand excellence and we want everybody to be green. So the question I had is that we have a voicemail problem, right? What store doesn't, right? And the goal was, as I said to everybody, do you want Carl to handle all of the overflow traffic at your store? And they all yelled, yes. And then the next question was that after hours calls that go into an abyss that probably no one ever calls back. Do you want Carl to handle all your after hours calls? And they'll call those people back in the morning, 100% guaranteed. Yes. And that to me is the biggest compliment to Carl is they know it will be handled. The nice thing about Volie also does, if there's ever a concern, guess what you do? You record everything. What a concept. So when the customer says, well, the BDC agent said, hold on a minute, please. And we pull that information out. You let the manager realize that it's probably not the BDC. And if it was, it's a learning environment. We apologize. We'll call the customer up and say we're sorry. But the goal is that we hold everybody accountable. And what happens then is our stores appreciate the BDC, and now they're begging for the BDC, which is a huge problem.
Is there anything with your centralization for the service BDC that you'd have done differently?
I would have started faster. I was scared to death. I think that's part of the goodness, but I think that the first couple months we started slow, small, one store, went to 2 stores. As soon as we went to 3 or 4, I should have said, let's do more. After people, you don't want to do it before you hire the people. What we did is that we drug it out over a period of 6 months. If I had to do it over again, I would have been all up on Volie 100% all the stores by month 4. But that's not really a bad thing.
It's no. I mean, oh man, my learning lesson is we did too good. I should have done even better. I mean, I think there's a lot worse problems to have there. So
100% on that. And I think the success is when the stores are begging or pleading, can you help us? That's the ultimate compliment to your BDC. You don't need a BDC made another Zoom appointment. Well, they promised it was going to be $1 and it's $4 trillion. We don't have these problems. We also want to make sure that whatever the BDC says comes from the service manager and their team. So they have a cheat sheet of everything for pricing. We're working on getting our service pricing guides dialed in so the BDC agents can do intelligent things. We are not going to over and under promise to anybody. And that is always a challenge. And that's the reason why store visits are so important to have to make sure we don't over or under promise. Because what is the biggest problem we have in appointments? Well, they promised me a loaner car, right? And that is the devil, right? And that's the biggest challenge. So making sure that the BDC understands how that loaner car program works, so we don't over promise loaner cars, which is always,
Well, I've definitely taken up enough of your time here. Really appreciate it. And I think we've done a good job of highlighting where your mindset was in starting and implementing and all the way through to where we are today. Are there any final thoughts that you'd have to share for a dealership or a dealer group that is considering Volie for their service BDC?
Start first is you need to start with a great manager that understands the fixed ops department. That might be, I think, a good service advisor or a good service manager that wants to tone down a team is a great example. You might have a great call taker that does a good job, but a lot of times they don't understand the ins and outs of the fixed ops department. I would recommend a great manager. But also, that person needs to be calm and collected. All you're doing is talking to customers, as you know, it's challenging. Then after you do that, then the next best piece is that if you're taking over a store, is that you want to take people from the store as you bring the store on. They don't need BDC agents or call takers at the store level. Don't go out there and hire a whole bunch of new people, and those poor people are going to get repurposed or let go. Is go out there and ask them to come into your team that helps you get started quickly. Learn Volie inside and out. The more you understand, with your performance advisor person that calls, is that, they have weekly calls, and Carl learned so much in the first couple months about how Volie worked. And that is what probably made the difference. A lot of times you buy software and you use like 5%. We use 100% of all. And that helps our team be more successful. So one, pick the right manager that knows the business, not knows the business of calls, but knows the business of fixed. Two, if you're going to start one, try to hire people from your stores that are successful at stores and bring them as great call takers. Have a plan for pay based off of performance that drives the goal to driving appointments forecast. Lastly, of course, having a great partner like yourselves is a huge piece. We could not do it without the Volie software.
Well, everyone, Tully Williams, Parts and Service Director for the Niello Company, an incredible auto group from out in California. They're awesome to work with. And I don't know when this will be posted, but as the time of recording, we're going to be out there and seeing you guys in person next month, which will be great. So really appreciate you taking the time today, Tully.
No problem. Thank you all. Appreciate it very much.
Have a great day.